go. Thanks. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. Does anyone have an opening question they want to start with? Any volunteers, or shall I something? Just trying to like kill a few moments while other people come. Okay, I'll start with something. What is the most vivid memory of a historical event that occurred during your childhood? We're going to keep it short, just less than a minute each while other people join. So, most vivid memory of a historical event that happened during your childhood. And I'm going to pass to Jean to get us started.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a really good one, actually. I guess I'm gonna have to say the Landers earthquake in California, which was a 7.1 on the Richter scale, and it was a very significant event. I remember sleeping under a big sliding mirror and being sure that it was going to crush my head, but it did not. So I'm here, and that is my memory. Sorry, any of you have any idea what that is? But it was historical for us in California. Miss Libby.
Oops. First one that comes to my mind is 9/11. I was getting out of school, and I remember everyone was in a weird, like, everybody was different. And then I went home for lunch, and I'm in Brazil, so it was just a reflection of that and how it got here. But then I arrived home for lunch, and I remember even what I was eating and the TV we had a TV in the kitchen at the time, and then there was images and people talking about it, and I was so like, whoa, what is this? What's going on? It seemed so big, but at a odd. It's weird to understand these things when you're a kid. Yeah, I'll pass to Gideon.
Thanks, Libby. I don't know. I mean, this is not super vivid, but I do remember Watergate. So that's how old I am. But yeah, I just remember that whole thing kind of unfolding on the TV. So it wasn't just like one thing; it was like a whole series of things. But it was a weird feeling, even as a little kid. Okay, I'll pass to Edu.
Hello, everyone. I have the same answer as Livy. I remember leaving high school, and then all the radio stations from my classmates' cars, my parents' cars. That's a difficult name. All the cars were having the same news reporting 9/11 and the confusion about it. So the first thought was confusion. And then the second historical event that I vividly remember is the transition of the Panama Canal zone back to Panamanian hands. It was 31 of December of 1999, and it was such a proud moment for us as Panamanians to reclaim a territory that was out of our control for 100 years. So that was something like that. Literally, I remember staring at the TV, watching all these people with a Panamanian flag. So yeah, that was a very vivid moment too. And I will pass it on to. How about you, Tam? Back to you.
Maybe I'll just keep passing it. I'll pass it to Mert. The opening question is, what was your most vivid memory of a historical event that occurred during your childhood?
So first of all, I just want to say I'm surprised how different backgrounds affect the stories. So mine is probably very affected by Middle Eastern background. So I remember when I was in like in elementary school, uh, in Turkish TV, Saddam Hussein's like execution streamed live, and I was at home, and I remember it as like very traumatic event because they're just beaten the guy. And the second thing I can say, the Turkish coup attempt when I was in high school. So I was playing games with my friends outside of. Then my mom was calling me, "Oh, there's coup happening. Just come to home." So these are two events that is very vivid in my memory. And I would like to pass it on. I think Juanca hasn't gone.
Um, yeah, well, I would mention it's not when I was so young. It was a few years ago, but it's something that really impacted me, and it was the signature of the peace agreement between the Farc and the Colombian government, and later the winning vote of the no to its implementation. So it was like, okay, we made an agreement to make peace, but then we tried to make like a referendum of the agreement by vote, and then the winning option was no. So it was like, okay, we don't want peace. And it was mind blowing for me to have a country that has been in war over 60 years to say, we don't want peace.
Did you go already?
No, I think I have one that it's kind of sad, but I don't know. When I was a kid, this Twin Towers thing in the States, it was the whole. I mean, my family and everyone that was with me like was like so sad. I mean, I was a kid, and the only thing I wanted to do was play. And I remember like my parents telling like, "You should not play today," and I was like confusing, but yeah, I don't know. That was something like was in my childhood that marked me a little bit because yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand what's happening in the world, and then suddenly I couldn't play. But yeah, I'll pass it to Griff. The question is, what is your most vivid memory of a historical event that occurred during your childhood?
Can you say that again? The most what of a historical event?
Vivid memory of a historical event that occurred during your childhood.
I mean, obviously the World Trade Center thing was pretty serious. I remember waking up and seeing the plane, seeing like video of the first plane hitting the building, and then watching the news, and like I didn't even tell my family or whatever, and then I actually saw on the news the second plane hit, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta go tell, like this is crazy. And so that was pretty serious memory for sure. And I'll pass it to Tam to pass it around.
Well, most of us have gone already. So, Lauren, same question for you. What is your most vivid memory of a historical event that occurred during your childhood?
Yeah, for me, it was like the same. It was like the plane crash into the towers, and I was like in grade 5, and my whole class was like, I mean, we just went to school and everything was normal, but it was like then we had like an assembly, and we like went to the library, and we like watched the news, and then they gave a presentation about it like on a billboard, and not a billboard, like one of those poster boards. I can't remember what they're called. Bristol board, and yeah. I remember that, and it's everything so surreal when I was a kid. Like it's hard to like understand and empathize really. I'm like, oh, something bad happened, but I was like so young, it was sort of like hard to understand and really make heads or tails of things. Was I last?
No. So I mean, I feel like I want to say the towers too, but it wasn't in my childhood. So I feel like I can't use that one actually. I walked out of my door, and I lived on Houston at the time, and I saw the fire. Like I was very, very close to the trade centers, and I was like, oh shit, how are they going to put that out? And then I hopped on the train and went to Midtown to go to where I was working at Sony Music at the time. And I was just like, okay, now I'm at work. Did they put it out? So it didn't, like, I wasn't really aware of like the enormity at the time, but I wasn't a child. So I'm going to go with like, I feel like there was like political scandals, like Monica Lewinsky around that. Like that was like the kind of thing that was like, what's going on? It's like, huh? What's happening? Like you're trying to understand, but you're not really getting it. And nobody's really being upfront with you about what's going on. I feel like maybe some political scandals like that, or I don't know, the first shootings and stuff, the first school shootings, like there was a time where and school shootings were like super sensational. Like, Columbine was like, and now it's like kind of no longer sensational. So I feel like maybe that's another one. That was like, as a child, not, or maybe I wasn't even a child then. I don't know, but okay, we'll keep going before I age myself here. So we are, I have some ideas for what we'll talk about in the Stewards Council today, but I would like to just say I welcome anyone who has a suggestion for our discussion group today to throw it on the agenda. What I think I wanted to bounce off the stewards and get some different perspectives on was this burgeoning idea around TE services and some sort of TE intake. It's not a fully formed idea yet, so I'm hesitant to even start discussing it. But I'd say any other options, please throw it on the agenda. But more important than that, we have something really important to celebrate today, and that is to ask Gideon, will you formally accept the nomination of stewardship in the TEC?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm
Awesome.
super honored. Very
And
honored.
then, yeah, yay, cool. So what we usually do in these, for these moments, these really special moments in the TEC, is to go around and share, what was the first time you met Gideon? What did you think? And do you have a special story or anecdote that you want to share about him? And I would love to pass to Livia. Would you be interested in getting us started?
Yeah, sure. First time I met Gideon, I think the first memory I have of you is of reading the first article you wrote about the TEC, and that was so thoughtful. I was like, wow, that really impressed me of how you joined and you had so much quality of observation that you put into that, and you feel like you understood the essence of the TEC so quick, and you were like very openly advocating for it. And I think that felt brave too, because it is so much to join a community and make an impression of it and then be public about it and open. So you felt like you came all in, and the beauty you describe in the TEC resonates a lot with the beauty I see in the TEC. And I'm really honored that you're coming to spend more time with us, and that you're wanting to like lead a working group, and that you're like being so incredibly helpful in a lot of initiatives and multiple working groups. And recently has been a pleasure to work more closely with you, to have calls with you, to collaborate with you. So I'm really happy you're joining us as a steward. And I'll pass to Griff.
Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, the first time I met Gideon was actually at Hatcher Outreach. It was really cool to like just chat it up. I think I was in an RV, and I found out he was from Seattle, and was like like a really successful guy, and really interested in what we're doing, and just really curious, really into like curious and not presumptive. And I was really impressed by like professionalism, and it just was like, wow, this guy really gets it. I felt like he went from zero. Oh, I guess Gideon, you probably knew something about the TEC before coming in, but like, I started diving into all the crazy stuff that I am always excited about, and normally I just get blank stares, but I could look into Gideon's eyes and like, wow, I think he's actually getting it. And that was a really huge surprise for me, because like basically I'm not sure that I'm coherent when I'm going into these rants most of the time. But I just felt really aligned, and like I felt really seen and heard, and it was very impressive, and I definitely didn't. I thought he was just going to put some money into the DAO, and like see how it goes. I had no idea that it would become like, wow, like coming in and becoming a steward and becoming a leader of the community. I thought it was just like, yeah, I want to support token engineering, and this sounds like, and the common stack and this strategy of funding public goods seems really aligned. And then to see that, it's not just like financial input, it's also like, sweat equity too. It's just such a joy. So it was really fun. I think we chatted for a long time. I'm pretty sure we went over our time limit for sure, and that was just the beginning. So I'll pass it to Lauren.
Thanks, Griff.
I'm just gonna say I'm not keeping time intentionally. So just feel free to share what you want.
Cool, nice. Yeah, thanks. It's nice being next to Griff, and then I can be like, pick me, and then he'll pass to me. That's really good because I actually remember, I met Gideon at the same time as Griff, but Gideon didn't meet me at that time because I was in the RV, and we were in the RV, and Griff was doing all this Hatcher outreach and talking to all these people, and so I heard a lot of calls, and some I was like, and other ones I was like, oh wow, and like actually, really, Gideon was like the most, it was like he was the most engaged person that Griff was talking to. He was sharing about the TEC, and Gideon was like you said, just like really getting it, and it was just like I was so impressed. And then after the call, Griff was like full of good vibes. I was full of good vibes, and I was like, man, that guy sounds really cool. And he was like, yeah, and I think he's really going to help support the TEC. And then you jumped in, and like you jumped into the TEC, and you also jumped into GIF, like with interest in both orgs, and like everything that you were picking up on was like, I think really core to the central mission of like everything that we're trying to create. So like, use blockchain and Web3 to support public goods funding and like do all kinds of like interesting things. And you have a really analytical mind and like just a great way of bringing people together. And then we had a call a little while after that. Like I reached out to you, and then we had a one-on-one, and we just talked for a really long time. And you were telling me things that you were working on and things that you were observing and putting together. And I mean, I just wanted to have a call with you because I thought you were so cool, and like I wanted to see like if I could help you get involved in any way more. And it was just so nice to even just make the connection, and then you really jumped into the TEC, and you're so great and communicative all the time. Like you were like, hey, I'm gonna jump more into the TEC and less in Giveth, and I'm like, that's cool, do what you like. And then you were coming into the TEC and like writing all these articles, and every article that I read that you've written is always like, oh wow, it's always beautifully written and incredibly insightful, and it's just such a pleasure to have you on the team. And we haven't gotten to hang out and like sync since that one time when we got a good call, but like I'm an admiring fan, and I'm so happy to have you in the TEC, and especially happy to have you in the stewards. Like you're a huge value add to the TEC, and it's going to be great to have you in our community more. I'll pass it to Chewy.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I also remember the first time that I came across Gideon, and it was back when David was contributing a lot and just like helping us grow our Twitter. And I remember that like he kept mentioning is like, oh, like this Gideonro, like he's making my day, like he's generating like so much like enthusiasm and engaging in so much discussion. And yeah, like I started just like reading Gideon's tweets and even like learning and understanding like even more than what I already like understood about the TEC. So it was very just like exciting to see that someone could like share like this much interest and knowledge about what the community believes in. So after that, I remember that we had like also some calls, and it was just like very, very inspiring to know more about Gideon. And about that time, it was like the Hatcher outreach time as well. And just like seeing Gideon like unfold all of this like knowledge and really like cool like vibes and feel like for token engineering in the community. It was just something very, very nice to see. And yeah, like I'm very happy that that this day finally came. So congratulations, Gideon. And thank you for being a part of our community. I don't know who hasn't been yet. I'll pass it back to you, Tom.
Cool. What about Mert? Would you care to go next?
For sure, thank you, Tamara. So I met how I met with Gideon actually is asynchronous. So I saw Writers Guild, and I was like, oh, that's a very cool initiative. Look at those articles. Then I start to follow Gideon on Twitter without him knowing it. So I was stalking him all the time because he was writing those awesome articles. Then we have got chance to meet on discussion on a proposal inverter. We had a one-on-one sync call, and he was like very warm-hearted person. Even in just like one short sync, you can understand it. So we just met, and I know he's like a amazing guy, like a brilliant person. So congratulations again, Gideon, for accepting this position. Maybe I can pass it on. Maybe again. Zepti done. I think I will pass it back to you, Tamar.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
Zep,
yeah, I was about to pick it, trying to mute.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you, man. Actually, yeah, thank you so much, Gideon. My first interaction with you, I don't know if you remember, was in the params. Like you make me some question, I don't know, but then I was answering, and you felt me feel so good. Like I was even telling Sam, look, this guy is telling me like I'm doing great job. I was so excited, and then I mean, of course, like all your articles, and then another thing, like I was so excited about, like when we had our meeting for the transcribing the transparency story. Like I normally like I'm a guy who I don't know express in very short words, but you were making like the right questions, and I was feeling excited. Like my story was being, like you were getting more data out of me that I would not even thinking of. Like it was so great, and I'm so excited for this article actually to go live sometime soon. And yeah, I'm so happy you join us. Like you're a rock star, man. Thank you for joining us. I'll pass it to Chin.
Thank you, Mr. Zepti. Congratulations, Mr. Gideon. Yeah, this is really awesome. I'm really proud of you, sir, for this. I would, I guess, recall that the first real interaction that I had with Gideon was after one of the working groups. I think it was Communitas, and even though I hadn't particularly found any place, and I was pretty heavily suffering from like an imposter syndrome, Gideon took it upon himself to reach out to me and make me feel welcome and feel like I actually had something to contribute. And that was really meaningful for me personally. So I really appreciate that. And the fun memory that I have for Mr. Gideon is that he made me aware that he worked on a product that I thoroughly enjoyed personally, which was the encyclopedia from Microsoft called Encarta, which was like my childhood encapsulated in a piece of software. So I really appreciate that, sir, because it made a big impact in my life. Thanks, me. And pass back to Ms. Tam for passing on.
Cool. How about Wonka? Would you care to go next?
Yeah. I remember one call that I had with Gideon in staying in Bogota, and it was really cool because I have been wanting to post this gravity article for some time, and I was feeling a little bit like um, in a cold phase. Like I had some ideas, but I wasn't being able to write them, and he offered a lot of support. And I think the quality that I would highlight is proactiveness, and that he isn't waiting for someone to tell him what to do or what to write, but that he's giving his ideas, and doing it for the gift of giving. I remember also, and I see this as a quality around the 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 article that was written, and people said like, okay, this is the idea of the advice process of like someone giving something to the community and then being able to receive feedback to integrate. And um, yeah, I appreciated and all the insights that you gave me for writing the gravity article. And I feel that this last article is the most evergreen content that we've produced, and I learned a lot um, by your advice. So I think also that we will be able to produce more evergreen content thanks to just that advice that and support that you gave for this article. And I'll pass to, I don't know who's gone, who hasn't gone.
Eduardo.
Edu.
Thank you, Juanca. There are two. There are many, but in general, the first one was one that I remember going to Twitter and then seeing like this guy following me, and I was thinking, oh, is this guy an influencer? Like, sorry, sorry, I had something on my mouth. So I was thinking like, sorry, I have a dental prosthesis in my mouth, so I had to take it out. So I was thinking like, oh, is this guy like an influencer who is following me? Who is this guy? And I tracked back to TEC, and that was the very first memory that I had. And then after so many work sessions that we have had, and after his input in so many comunitas, his writing skills, I didn't know at all about the Encarta stuff. Is, as Jean mentioned, is a software of my childhood too. So I didn't know I was going to circle back to Encarta. It was actually the only game that my parents allowed me to play, the ones that were inside Encarta. So I remember the other second thought that I had when I had a deeper conversations with him was this idea, and I don't mean to be disrespectful with this, but I had this very nostalgic thought of thinking, I wish my dad were like you and had this sort of enthusiasm and this eagerness to learn about fields that were not on his original field, let's say, in a way. And I thought also like how lucky your kids were, because you even if they are far away, you still have a call with them Fridays, and I don't know. I felt like this was like it was an example to follow, kind of guy, and I felt that was really touching. And yeah, that was my second thought I had of him. And so I will put my things back, and back to you, Tam.
And I think everyone has gone. Did I miss anybody? No, right? Okay, so then I guess I get a chance to go now too. And I don't remember the first time that I met Gideon. I know that I started here. I remember my first impression though, and it was either in a soft gov or communitas call, and you joined and was very like active listener. I don't know how else to say that. Like the questions were so pertinent, the comments were so thoughtful. They clearly had knowledge and experience, wisdom wrapped up, when they were delivered. And I thought it was, it really caught my attention. And then I also want to say that what comes across in like that first thing, right? It was like there's just a lot of humility, and that really always stuck with me, that the humility, kindness, compassion, that the way things were delivered were always thoughtful about the person who was receiving the comments, and I always thought that was really really advanced skill that you have. And then as we got to know each other better, I see that you've worked with so many people in our organization, and one of the best definitions of a great leader that I've ever heard is just someone who always brings out the best in others. And no matter who you work with, you have brought out the best in so many people. And I think that like It is remarkable, and it is really, really, really rare. And I've had the fortune to work with some really extraordinary leaders. I consider myself amazingly lucky to have done so, and now I count you among them. I think that whoever you work with, you bring out their best work. They feel proud and excited about what they're doing, and you just have a real gift for that. And I think that's amazing. And then it's just, I think you see things so far and so clearly. I found that it couldn't have been easy to come from not knowing anything about the TEC to suddenly being one of the people who can definitely help lead the TEC forward. You just know so much about so much, and take all of this information and then find the signal, and then put the signal in a diagram and organize the signal so that you can have a picture of what it all looks like, and then share that with other people, and then have a very long-term vision of where things are going. And I really think you have an amazing skill set that we're lucky to have in the world, and especially in the TEC. And then for me personally, it's just an honor to work with you. And I guess I'm going to leave it there. And maybe I'm going to just say the writing. Wow, the writing is just evident, of this amazing skill that you have to process information, to find the signal, and then to create some sort of great way of communicating that signal to others, so that they don't have to hear all the noise too. They can just go straight to the signal. And you basically revived our long form, deep thinking Medium channel that had been on life support until you helped revive it with me. All right, so I found the last one. That means the floor is yours, Gideon. So are there any words that you'd like to share?
I'll try to just keep this short, but let me just say that this is so touching. You have no idea. I have tremendous respect, really, for this whole crew. I feel like this group of people is the people I've been waiting to meet, actually, my whole life. I'm not joking. I really feel like everything's kind of been building for this. And, I just feel like a lot of love for you all. It's very strange. I've never met any of you in person. And yet, I feel like you're helping me to grow. I'm kind of an old dog in I'm learning a bunch of new tricks about how to kind of operate in this way, And I have been just super impressed by how welcoming. This ceremony today is exactly what I'm talking about. My God, the way that you just wrap people in love. There's no other way to describe it. This is a very loving ceremony. I feel seen, and it's just, it's really lovely. Thank you. I will do my very best to be the very best steward I can possibly be, because this community deserves it. I have so much. I think some of you know this, but I really feel like this commons is the future of humanity. I'm not joking. I think that the lever that is in our hands will actually change the world. I really do believe that. So anyway, I'm honored. Thank you.
I'm not crying, you're crying. All right, cool. All right, let's just sit in that moment for a moment, because I feel like I'm a little succumbed. Who wants to take over? Okay, all right. Oh yeah, thanks, Mert, that was sweet. Let's do some hearts. Okay, so we have about 25 minutes. I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't know if this is a stupid idea, if it's a good idea. There seems to be some bubbling up around this. I've talked to a few people, and it seems to be there's some resonance around this idea. As everyone knows, we've been getting token engineering requests since we started. We're the shelling point for token engineers, so it's normal that people hop into our DMs, people hop into our Discord channels. One of the more frequent questions that we get in Communitas is, hey, I have this project, are there any token engineers? I don't know that that's something that we want to make our core service, but I was thinking a public good for token engineering might look something like creating a kind of intake service, a way to shape token engineering requests. I've asked YGG if he has some time to chat about, like, we've been like, here is LTF, here, we've been trying to throw them, but maybe a service that we can provide for token engineering organizations like Block Science and LTF and others is having an intake, like creating some sort of standardized way for people to request token engineering services. If it's a capability that the TEC has, that's kind of amazing. We can do it. If it's not, we can engage or we can pass it in a form that they can already use to Longtail Financial, to Block Science. We can work with both of them to figure out what makes sense in terms of when you're getting a scope for a new project, what does that look like? I thought it's possible that this could be the kind of service that either generates revenue in terms of like us being able to take on pieces of work that fit our skill set, and or some percentage by being able to sort of be the conduit between projects seeking token engineering demand and the organizations that can actually service. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm still trying to figure out what this looks like, but some way to like field all the requests that are coming in, package them, and then help them go to places seems to be something that we're going to have to deal with. And I think we should deal with it in a way that will actually contribute some revenue back to the TEC. I'd love to hear some thoughts about this. Griff, you turned your camera on, so I'm going to pass to you first.
Sure. It's too bad. I had planned to be kind of distracted during the beginning of this call, man, because that was so beautiful, and it was yeah, and it's so good to have you in, Gideon. So thank you so much. It's just happened. I only turned on my video because I finally switched to my computer, and I'm actually like in work mode now. But I think it's a great idea, and I do think it is in our skill set. The orientation crew, like working group, is just on fire, and it feels like that's something that, with some extra support, of course, would be totally in the wheelhouse. And I think it would be a good service. I don't have anything to add on other than we should definitely not advertise it too quickly and do some prototypes and iterate on it like 3 times and then be like, okay, here's the form. You need token engineering, fill out this form, and we can start collecting. And matchmaking, I think that was an idea that I've heard a few people say that the matchmaking is a potential great service for us. And I think there's also a revenue opportunity with this approach. Does anyone else want to take it? Mert, you look like you want to. No.
Yeah, I can go. Thank you, Griff. So I also believe it will be very beneficial for TC, both revenue side, but also the ground mission of further developing token engineering. I think by creating a structure, which project we want to help, what kind of requirements we will have, like it will be an open source, etc. So this will be a very important contribution to token engineering. So even while I was thinking about what I learned about token engineering from like block science research, curve labs research, I think these open source research, they are as research on service, but they also make token engineering field as more developed. So I think this will also align with our mission, but maybe we can create some necessary requirements, which projects we should filter, how do we approach it. So maybe we don't want to give ApeCoin token engineering service or like Ponzi schema coin token engineering service. So one thing I want to say, and also as Griff and Tamar said, if we can have like in-house service, it will be awesome. But if not, we have like amazing partners, as you guys said, so we can start funneling it. Then, as I said in like previous meeting, we can use it as opportunity to be educate junior token engineers by shadowing the work. So, for example, like I'm very interested in this area, but I have like limited knowledge probably than Sean. So working with Sean in a token engineering project will help me. Like, for example, even in proposed inverter, I learned a lot. So I think this can be an educational opportunity for team token engineering commons members as well. So I'm super supportive of this idea. And I would like to pass it on Gene or whoever wanted to talk.
Yeah, I've thought for some time that it's a wonderful idea to offer these services for the revenue bearing potential that it has. And it's a disappointing kind of missed opportunity, it feels like, to welcome people in the door that are looking for this service already, because the kind of prestige of the name that something like an engineering commons provides, and telling them that that's not exactly what they can find here. If they come here looking for that, then it's an opportunity to offer that service and to meet the needs that present themselves. So I think it's a great idea. Possibility. Yeah, pass on to anybody else that wants to just raise it, say something.
I'll jump in. I think this is really interesting, actually, because I mean, doing consulting is tough. Like, it's, as the Common Stacks folks know, it's tough. It's tough to scale. It's like an hourly kind of thing, and you're constantly looking for work. But being a marketplace for other folks is really interesting. And actually, after I did Encarta at Microsoft, I was a car dealer. I sold cars online for Microsoft, and we had a big. I mean, this was a big service. We had a lot of people coming through, and at the heart of it was actually, it was basically a spec. It was like a big spec engine for all the cars in the United States, like trucks, cars, everything. It had all of basically the specifications for any truck, car that you could imagine, including when we had a configurator, right? Which is like, you could come in and you could say, oh, I want like, this type of truck, and I want this type of features, and all that kind of stuff, and it would select you. And so what we did was we had that engine, which was like a knowledge graph, and we used that as a way to then connect the buyers with car dealers around the United States. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think that our advantage eventually. So, stepping back for a sec, if we are a commons, and if a commons is like a resource that's got a community around it that's using that resource and governing that resource through a set of social protocols, then what's the resource? It seems like token engineering is like a pretty good proxy for what that resource is. And I think there's a way for us to actually invest in building kind of the fabric for doing that coordination. A lot of it, like knowledge graphs, like different types of tokens, different types of cryptoeconomic primitives, those kinds of things. We could really have a shot at being like the preeminent place for that, and then using that as like a front end to a directory of service providers out there. This is a very rough idea, but I think that there's something very powerful in that direction, in terms of like matching people who need token engineering services with those who are coming from like the Token Engineering Academy, who are learning those things. So I don't know, there's a lot more to explore. It's very you're going down, and also it's like being requested of us, right? That's another good sign. So anyway, I'm bullish on it.
I also want to share one thing, and I think that would be super cool. Like, if like all these projects that come to TC together, token engineering, feedback loop, teaching, whatever, uh, all these new different mechanics we create, all of it should be documented, and then it's available for anyone, and that would bring a lot of value, in my opinion, to the commons, since we will gather a lot of open source information that would be, very valuable for anyone in the space. And I also don't think, if a DeFi, as long as they are not scammers. But if someone comes with a weird idea, like I don't remember OHM. I don't remember the name of the protocol. But yeah, like with this weird tokenomics that can be good. I think we should, deploy it. Like, if we get some token engineering thinking about those models, and then the value is like, make it all the information available for anyone. Like, so for me, doing this is great, but documenting it, that would be amazing. Yeah, I'll pass it to Libby.
Thanks. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, one of the big challenges, is that projects don't even know how to articulate the help they need from token engineers. So they don't really know what tools are available, what processes. We don't have like a very clear documentation outsourcing what token engineering does, in part because a lot of that is still being like it's still in construction. So I think it would be very helpful for us to filter requests, for us to gather the best examples and connect with token engineer projects that are offering services like LTF, and have this like funnel passing through the TEC, so we can have people from all sorts of expertise touching ground here. And some of the successful projects, we could even have a sharing after of how that process was, transform into like an education, a showcase, gather a few examples of projects that used certain tools, and how other people can jump into different parts of the token engineering process. So I think that would be awesome. And I'll pass to Juanca.
Yeah, I think on two words that are best practices and standards. Um, yeah, I think by being able to filter, we are making certain boundaries, and we are making standards around processes and around projects. And also, I think that these best practices are also something that we can reproduce and somehow promote as critical infrastructure for DAOs. So maybe we can have also this narrative as a marketing strategy of like, hey, does your DAO fulfill all the standards for becoming a successful token engineering project? Just yeah, giving ideas.
Um, I've been putting a lot of thought into like this whole like discussion around like token gating, like partially the like a Discord server, um, and just like thinking about the ways to communicate it, because I also feel that it's like a very like fragile, since I mean we have great engagement, but from a very like limited community. So I feel that there's like very few, like people that are like transitioning into getting more used to the community and just like contributing to the TEC. And I feel that it's kind of like fragile, and we really gotta find like the right way to communicate them that to communicate to them. And thinking about this, I've been having like some ideas about maybe like 3 streams that I feel that sound pretty good, and I feel that they can integrate like some of the ideas that have been shared here. I think that there are 3 benefits for holding TEC and for like getting in the Discord. And these streams are well, it's been said that like token engineering, like kind of like consultancy or something like that. I also feel that we in a way like underrate our experience in the cultural around the cultural build. I feel that there are great things that we can say about community building and about like Ostrom's principles. So I feel that that could be like also a great source of revenue, because a lot of people are like curious about token engineering like models for their projects or whatever. But I also feel that a lot of people that come to us is because they are attracted to our culture. So I feel that if we find the right way to communicate it, it would be interesting to say, hey, we would love to just like, get together, tell us some of our experiences, and share like some ideas that might work with your community. I feel that's another stream of revenue that can be like told in a way that it's like very like brief, and also it becomes interesting. And the third one is pretty much like our service DAOs, which are like communications and gravity. I feel that like, does your project advance token engineering? Hey, like join us, because we can provide gravity and communication services to your project. So I feel that if people are taking in account like some token engineering into how they are building everything, I feel that these are like three interesting ways in which we can like, like make it attractive for them to, instead of just like joining us and asking, actually like have a better idea of like what steps they need to take in order to, like get this in a broader way. So yeah, those are my 2 cents in the matter. I'll pass it to whoever wants to go.
Lauren, do you care to share some thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Wait, so I have a question though. So, I mean, is it implied that you need to be a TEC holder to access this service? Is that like kind of like what you were talking about with the token gating, or is that was like the
So this is an idea that's forming right now. There's no shape yet; it's shapeless. So perhaps
okay.
that could be one of the options. That could be we could start to triangulate in that direction, but it's not presupposed.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that. When everybody was sharing, I was just thinking of like, okay, what would be the requirements? Like, I like the idea of like setting boundaries around like what kinds of requests that we're kind of like going to engage with, or what kinds of like groups that we're going to engage with. Like having, we have like the covenant in the garden, and so it's kind of like need to the DAOs or groups that are reaching out to use the service need to be in line with our core values. And then I think like having another layer of maybe having something like need to be a TEC token holder to access the service would be awesome. Like it's not like a paid service, but it could help to generate revenue just by by increasing the TEC token price, and then also if like people are minting it in the bonding curve. Yeah, and then I think like from there, I mean, just I mean, I resonate with a lot of things that people are saying, but I think like as we're coming to form this idea, we really need to kind of like create good resource lists and have like the point, like the understand the kinds of requests that we're going to be getting, and then exactly like where to route them to. It's like, okay, like whether we're using Longtail Financial or we're routing people to use Gravity and some of the resources provided by them, I think like having like a clear resource list so that we can kind of direct requests would be really valuable as well. Am I the last person?
You are, but Shans has joined us, so I want to say welcome, Shans. You hopped into the TEC Stewards Council. You probably don't have the full context to add to this, but would you like to take 1 minute and introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah, hi everybody. I'm just here. This is our first time here. So yeah.
Oh, I think I lost audio on you. I'm not sure if everyone lost audio.
Sorry.
Oh,
You.
okay. I didn't get to hear everything except hi, and I think it's your first time in
Voice.
maybe this. Is it like some weird delay? A voice coming in after he's already muted, or is it okay? Okay, cool. Fascinating how Discord works sometimes. You're very welcome to hang out, Chance. It looks like there's maybe an audio or bandwidth issue on your side, which is causing some funkiness and cool funkiness. Yeah.
I just want to say a small parenthesis. I will
Sure.
be stepping out of this call because I will be presenting on the Introduction to Token Engineering, and also that yesterday I posted the third Graviton training study plan. So just for all of you to know, if someone asks, you know now where to redirect them. And yeah, thank
Did,
you all.
sorry, did you get Eduardo's message to use the orientation guide for the introduction?
I talked with Patty, and she sent me the ones that they were using, and I updated, made 2 new slides, one with the projects that we have supported with the gardens, and the other one with another quote around the commons.
Okay, good luck.
Okay,
I'm sure you'll
thank
do
you.
great.
See you in the community call.
Bye. Mert, you had something?
I just want to share just one last opinion. So I think what Lauren said will be super cool, like bonding the services with TEC's token utility, since like we are a bonding curve economy, and the token freeze will be open soon. So it will also create some intrinsic value of our tokens, so that dumping will not be dumping will be disincentivized. So I think that will be a good way to start creating TEC intrinsic value utility. So I'm very supportive of bonding these services with some sort of token engineering commons token utility.
Cool, thanks. I guess maybe just to say one last thing, this is a very embryonic idea. It's not something that is like, oh, in 2 weeks we'll, yeah, I think that this is something that just has to continue to take shape and form. But I think that this feedback has been really helpful in actually just validating that this is a really good direction for us to go in, and that there seems to be pretty strong consensus that not only can we do it, but we should do it. And I think it will also strengthen TEC as the TE shilling coin, you know? Where do you go to take token engineering services? Oh, go to TEC, because they have connections with all of the groups that are doing token, like they're the trusted intake for all of the token engineering services. Like that'd be in a real strong position for the TEC to be in. We have 2 minutes left. So I'd like to open the floor to any closing statements. Otherwise, I think we end 2 minutes early and update our slides. Okay, 5, 4.